I forgot to show you while making this video at the end, so this will be the intro. This is how much aluminum I cut out of this thing. I swear there's a couple pounds here. So I think this thing's going to make a difference. Anyway, let's get after it. Welcome back to the channel. So I'm going to get started on the 360 Magnum kegger modification. I was pulling off the bottom pan, so I figured I'd share this first. I didn't have this running on anything of mine personally. I got it from a friend, and he didn't even run it either. The engine came from the junkyard. He put a Speedmaster intake and a carburetor on his. But while I was pulling the plate off, I noticed that the gasket's blown here. So if you ever have an oil consumption issue with your Magnum or weird running problems, this is a common problem. I've never actually seen it happen on mine, because usually I throw that gasket away and RTV the crap out of it. Gray RTV or Honda Bond, it never blows. But that's what you look for. If it's pooched out like that, that's what they do. So I'm going to get this pan off and start addressing and looking at what we're going to do. This is one of the earlier intakes. I don't think it's OBD1, because it doesn't have, the really early ones still had EGR on them, and they had a tube inside of here. The later ones didn't have this divider, so this has got to be 95, 6, 7, right in that area. But the newer ones don't have this, if I remember right. Like my 90, the Dakota didn't have that. I think I've gotten some other later OBD2 ones, and they don't have this divider. So Dodge must have decided it wasn't better to have this because they got rid of it. So we're going to cut that out too. I guess I'm going to clean this up. That's going to be the first step. Get all this crap out of here, and then we'll move on to cutting that divider out. Right or wrong, this seems to work. As long as it doesn't get so hot it cracks. And watch it melting down the divider. All the oil's just burning out of it. Took a little while, but I got all the caked on crap off. It's definitely oxidized a bit from being harsh with it, with all the purple power and brake cleaner, and I also heated it up a good bit with the torch and lit it on fire. It really helped loosen that crap up. But I'm going to end up sandblasting it anyways. I don't care. It's fine. I'm not going to touch the inside yet. I'm going to start here. I've already marked this one. I've already marked it. What I like to do for the gasket match is there's always a little discrepancy, you know, if the gasket's here, because you can see the holes in the slop you have in the holes, it could be off a little bit. So what I like to do is offset it one direction and leave it there on both sides, so that when you put the manifold on, when I had my blower manifold, the runners were like this long. You could just see straight down through it, line up the manifold, tighten it down. This, you're not going to be able to do that. So I like to offset it to one side on both sides, so that whenever I put my manifold on, I shove it to the rear and I'm done. That should be set. Is it perfect? Probably not, but it's got to be better than putting this in the middle, because then you can't even eyeball it. You can't see it. You can just kind of guess where it's at. So I always offset it to one side, mark it, and that's what I do. So whenever I bolt the manifold on, I set the bolts in, shove it to the rear, tighten the bolts down, done. So I'm going to get started on this end of it. I'm just going to take everything out to the lines. I'm not going to port that deep yet. I'm just going to do the gasket match, and then I'll work from there. And then I'm going to take a look at Thomas, I think his name is Thomas 4acre. I hope I said that right. Well, he sent me some extra stuff he had. He ended up going with the Hughes, but he sent me the 1/4" aluminum plate for the bottom, or the plenum plate, and he sent me some the VRP plates from UT Awesome. So I'm going to try that. I may not use them. I may fill this thing in with epoxy or something else. We'll see. I'll just work my way through it. I don't see how you're only getting so many inches of runner out of this, because these inner ones you could probably get a bit more and it makes sense, but these outer ones, if you cut this down below where these runners are and the entry is so far down there, I don't see that flowing well. And maybe it does, and maybe I'm wrong. The last one I did, the one on the Dakota right now, was cut down to here. That's as far as I went. But then I also went in and knocked the divider down another inch, thinking that with this much more area to feed the two runners down there, it would slow the airspeed down and make it a little happier coming around these edges. Which I think the volume reducing plates, I don't think it's just reducing the volume. I think the way you got a flat plate right here, I think it's helping the entry to the port, not just reducing volume. So if it works, that's why I think it works. As always, make sure you use some kind of wax or something, or else you're a bit. And I've seen people do this with a Dremel. I don't recommend that. You're gonna be there forever. Just get a real grinder. This one is just a Harbor Freight special. And I've got a Fordham pedal. I think I got off Amazon. Does speed control, so it's variable. You try running these wide open, it can get pretty chaotic. So I'm gonna open this one up, and then I'm gonna stop, and I'm gonna get the dividers and the calipers out, and we're gonna measure the difference between non-opened to opened. We're just gonna measure the area of the port and see what it ends up at, just on entry. Alright, I've got one done, just the first 3/8 to half an inch of the port. So not touched, touched. So we went from 1 inch and 10 thousandths to 1 inch and 110 thousandths, which looking at the gasket, we gained about 100 thousandths width. Went from 1.89 to 205, which also looks about right. We gained a little meat here and a little up here. Good jump. Now we just got to see how far down the runner we can open it all up. Now I've already noticed that once you go past the entry, or exit I guess, once you get past here, let's see, get this dialed in. See, we're tight. You get back here, it opens up a little bit this way. I think it gets taller as well. So we may not have to work so much of the manifold where we can't get to. Let's see, that's just scrubbing. Yeah, gets taller. So we'll check it on this one that we just opened up. Have it scrub right there. Yeah, so it gets taller and a little wider further down the manifold. Now I don't know if it stays like that through the whole course, but we'll do as much as we can. So I'm gonna get the rest of these to this point, then we'll move forward. Well, that took a while, but this helped. Once I got this set up, quick grip to the table, it's not moving around, I'm not having to hold it, I can just grind. both hands on the grinder, and I tried to keep the grinder as straight as possible so I could just make one pass, one pass, one pass. Worked out pretty decent. Now I've got to get a longer bit and see how far back I can go. I know it's already a little more open in there, but hopefully there's enough meat there that we can get enough. But I'm gonna set the dividers up right here and see if I can't. We'll see how many thousandths we got to take to make it as wide as this. I could only get so deep, and you kind of got to hit it at a weird angle getting in here. But where I've got it set, see, I still got a little play. But if I go too much deeper, I hit the arm, and then if I go right there, I'm a little snug. So I called that our base measurement. We're at 108 width, 227 height, which is still, the width is smaller than our new port, but it's almost 200 thousandths, well, it's a little over 200 thousandths taller than our new port. So the height is going to kind of make up for the lack of width, I hope. I don't know how far up the manifold it stays that thick. If I really wanted to get crazy, one day I'll just buy another manifold and cut it in half, but I'm not doing that today. So, alright, longer bit, and we're going to see how far down there we can get. I've taken this one about as far as we're going to go. Dang it. Let's see, right there. I can get this all the way, and it's dragging towards the bottom, but just barely. And when I hit it with a sand roll, I clear the rest of that up. So this, that wide, all the way down. And at that point, it's already taller this way, so it shouldn't matter that much more. Where this one is not so dang much. So now we'll see what our height looks like. Knocking down where that injector boss is, that helped the height a lot in that area. And then it's just big in here. So I don't know how big that is because I can't measure it accurately, but it's bigger than this, so that's probably fine. So I'll be doing all the rest of these, and if you're doing this when you can't see anything, don't blow in the damn port, because it'll just shower out of the other end. Like I did. Alright, I'm going to get after it. This side of the intake has had a lot more core shift. I'm having to pull most of the meat out of this side of everything, so I've barely had to touch this wall and this wall. And it looks like it's going to be the same down here at this end, so everything is shifted. I guess it's actually shifted that way. And that's why I'm having to take a good chunk. I mean, that's a 1/4 inch right there at the top. It's not so bad on these two. This one, I just cleaned up this wall because it was already straight in. So I had to make this fairly thin, where the other side I was able to kind of split the load between both walls. This one I had to take most of it out of one wall, so it's still fine. It should be just as thick as this side. Yeah. But I got 3 more to go. So all of this side is done. I've decided I'm not going to use those plates since I'm going to shorten the runners as far down as I can. I'm just going to come down to this level. So I'm cutting this divider all the way out. I'm just going to take my bit, run it down both ends until I go all the way through, and then run it across the bottom until it gets thin and just knock it out with a hammer. It really wasn't that bad. I ran it down this side and ran it down this side till it went through. And then I just started kind of grinding along the edge of it at the bottom. I didn't really even do that much. I just ground it and smacked it with a hammer and it broke off, and this is all that's left. So I'll start working all that out of there. Do yourself a favor and get an intake without that divider. I mean, this one was free, so it was worth it. If I was going to go buy one, I'd go hunt one down without the divider. I don't know the year split, but I've had several that don't have the divider. So I'm going to leave this alone because I am going to put something in there. I'm not going to put that whole plate, but I'm going to cut the runners down to here, so I'm going to fill that little bit. I'm going to go ahead and do that much. So I think I'm going to leave that part alone for now. Now I'm going to get to cutting these down, and that's going to take a minute. I may change to a very aggressive aluminum bit and just eat through it. I'll try to ziz wheel as much as I can and knock it out of there, but this is going to be a project. This is a spot that the little Dremel with the disc might help you because you can get in there, but you're going to be there forever. This is about 6 hours yesterday getting this side done. I've got about an hour and a half, 2 hours in getting to this point in here. I probably could have done it faster. So there's a lot of hours in doing this. Hopefully it pays off when we down to the truck again. But I'm gonna get the ziz wheel and get after getting as much of this off here as possible. This is after taking a ziz wheel to it. I didn't get super close. I'm going to take this all the way down to here, but I'll be using porting bits from now. You just cut as much as you can. You don't even have to connect your lines. Just get them close, smack it with a hammer, it's going to break off. There's all kinds of chunks. Lots of chunks. If you didn't connect the cut, it'll break. So now, several more hours of grinding just to get these down to here, and then I'll actually start porting it and opening it up. This is just getting the runner shortened. That's the bulk of the meat cut out of this side of the intake. I'm going to stop at this point, catch the other side up. Whew. I want to fill this in somehow. I don't know if I'm going to take a straight piece across. That's probably what I'll do. I'll probably just put a plate in there. I thought about trying to put a rounded plate like a piece of tube cut off to give it more of a bell mouth, but there's no room. There's nowhere for it to really go. Doing my best to keep you in the loop as I go. I'm about to start porting the runners, so I've just trying to keep everybody in the loop as I go as best as possible. So I'm going to start porting the runners on this side. I've measured them as is, 2.177 tall, 1.019 wide. Now on this side I've noticed the variance is different. Some of them the divider fits really loose in, like that one, and then some of them it fits a little snugger. So this is close enough. So we've got an area of 2.22, and remember our new area on the cylinder head side was 276. Now this is so tall, it's not going to take much to get this to surpass that, and I think that's what we want to do. I think we want to go a little beyond, but that's what I'm going to do. We'll find out. Dyno will tell us. I've also got an idea where I'm going to fill this in instead of having a flat plate. I think I'm going to cut this pipe in half and kind of flatten it out. I think that's a good idea. I don't know. I'm going to try it. It should take up some area and help port entry, I think. Maybe. Well, I messed that all up. It looks like I wrote it down right the first time. The difference between here and here was so far off, I was like, no way. I must have done something wrong or some math wrong. We're still good. It's still better. But we had original 1.9. This is 2.27, not 2.76. I missed one number. So I was like, why can't this get there? And that's why. Math, same thing. So 2.275 on the new, and this as is 2.22. So we don't have to work it that hard to get there. We're just going to clean everything up. I think I'll do the math real quick. It's probably 10,000, probably 30,000 to pick that up. So we got 2.177 times 1.19 right now, so let's go 0.3, 2.24, oh, 5, 2 point, yeah, that gets it, 2.285, which means we've only got to open it up 30 thousandths, 15 aside, and we're going to go further than that. So, sorry if I led you astray there for a minute. Hell, I led myself astray, but it's going to be alright. I'm going to get back after it. Alright, the runners are done. Now, I've got a couple places. Now, be warned when you go this far, I would back off those widths, and you got to pay attention to the core shifts. This one, I couldn't. This one, I shoved this wall all the way over, didn't touch this, but I still could not. I mean, this is thin as hell. But to get it the same width as all the others, I ended up busting through right here. And I could hear it getting thin, but I just hoped I'd make it. Just barely busted through. So now I gotta weld that up. There's a spot right there, a spot up right there. And one of these on the outside I blew through. It's in one of these corners. So just bear in mind, maybe don't go as extreme. Well, as long as you got a welder, go after it. As long as you can get to where you blew a hole in it, you'll be alright. Weld it back, put it a little thicker right there, and grind even more. So I'm going to fix all the holes I put in it. And then the pile of aluminum is getting really big. So I'm going to get all this mess cleaned up, fill all the holes, grind them back down, and then I'll start mocking up the tube if I'm going to do that. I still may not. I think it would kind of act like the volume reducing plates, and maybe even make it a little better being round. I don't know, but we'll see. Got everything. I got all the holes I put in it welded back up. Now I've taken that piece of 2.5 inch pipe and kind of flattened it out a bit. I think that's going to work. So I'm just going to trim this thing and get it ready to weld. Well, it took a while, but they're capped in now. So I got volume reducing plates, kind of, just a little different. So I'm done everything on the bottom side of the manifold. I've still got to clean and get all the crap out of the intake before I put it on the truck. The only thing I'm going to do next is mark up where the throttle body goes and take it as far as the gasket goes. I'll go bigger than the throttle body goes. I haven't set the gasket on there yet, so I don't really know how much I can take out. but we're going to take all of it and taper it as far as we can. I was going to fill these in, but I'm not going to do that. I don't think it's going to matter that much. If this intake manifold actually works, if it makes any more power, then I'll probably do another one and do it similar but a little nicer. I just really want to have a proof of concept, make sure it actually makes any more power. If it doesn't, then this isn't worth doing, because I've shortened it. Now I didn't shorten it drastically, but I think you're blocking flow at that point. I don't know. But volume reducing plates, I've opened the ports as big as you can go. I even put holes through stuff, so they're big. Everything's where it should be. So if it doesn't make a difference, then it's not worth doing, but we're going to try. I'm going to get the intake or the throttle body side ported, and then if I feel like it, I'll put it on the truck tonight. So I'll get that marked and we'll see what it looks like. Well, the gasket's smaller than the hole is right now, so no point in porting this crap with this size throttle body. I am going to go ahead and port the bottom side. I'm not going to open the top up anymore. I'm just going to taper everything else in. And that's it on the throttle body holes. I just tapered them as far as I felt they needed to go. The center's pretty thin, but it'll be alright. I'm sure it opened a little bit on the top side, but I used the aluminum bit down here at the edge and tapered a bit, and then I sand rolled the rest of it. So I think I'm just going to clean it up now and put it together. I've got this too, but I don't want to put it in yet. Thomas 4acre also sent me this and this plate, so thank you very much. I'm just going to use this plate, put it together as is, so it's similar to what's on the truck, except for it's got the except for it's all the way ported. The other one doesn't have any volume reducing anything. This one does. This is about the same length runner. The other one's probably actually a little shorter, but this one's fully ported, and I think the amount of meat that I took out of everything, I think it's going to make a difference. But I'm not sure what this is going to do, so I don't want to put this in yet and kind of spoil the results. I just want to see what this does with the plate. The other one's already got a plate on it too. If it makes way more power and everything works, then maybe I take it apart and put this in and see what that does. At some point, I'm either going to make one, the oil splash tray, so it keeps oil up off the intake. I'll either make one or buy one of those. I think the same UT Awesome, they're so cheap, it's might as well just buy theirs. But so I'm gonna get to cleaning, and I think next time you see this, it's gonna be on the truck. So hopefully that's tomorrow. Anyway, hopefully that helps everybody out. I wouldn't do anything until it makes a crap ton of power on a dyno, because if it doesn't do anything on a dyno, I would never waste my time touching one of these. So I'm putting up this video after I know what it made on a dyno, so the last comment about if it doesn't make a bunch of power, I wouldn't do it. I know now that it does make more power. It's only 15 horsepower. I think the headers are holding the truck back, but like 20 foot-pounds of torque through the middle, like almost everywhere. So it was definitely worth doing. So that's just my take on that. But that's going to be it for this video. Thank you for watching.